All right, we are once again back with the MozPod. We are post-draft reactions. I'm here with Mekel, Chris, and Cason. Appreciate everyone being here. So, me and Cason actually attended the draft in Green Bay this past weekend, and it was very interesting to say the least. Lots of good stuff happened. Some other stuff happened that Cason will mention later. But we're going to start off with the best draft overall. So, we'll start off with Cason. Cason, who do you think had the best draft, or let's hear a couple teams that you believe had one of the best drafts.
I think we kind of hit, all of us on the teams that I thought had the best draft. I went with Broncos and Ravens. Um, Broncos, I thought just had a pretty overall solid draft. Got a corner in round one to go pair with that already elite secondary and John Day Barron. RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant, Savion Jones, K. Robinson. I think that's a pretty solid draft overall. Beefed up the edges a little bit. Got a corner, got a running back, got a receiver. The team's kind of looking a little dangerous. They added a couple big free agents. I did see Dre Greenlaw might be out for a little longer than expected, but they still beefed up the secondary even more in free agency. So I think it's one of the better draft classes. And the other team that I had that I'm not going to talk as much about, but they do it every single year. They have one of the best draft classes. Players just seem to fall to them that shouldn't. It's the Baltimore Ravens. A couple of us I know had it on there, so I'm not going to say as much, but those are my top two that I kind of broke down.
Yeah, I also had the Broncos for one of my teams. Jahdae Barron was a good pick at 20. A lot of people were thinking that they were going to go Amari and Hampton first round, but it didn't matter because they got RJ Harvey in the second round. I think that's a very valuable pick on their part. Pat Bryant at receiver, they have one of the better, like, underappreciated receiving cores in the league, I feel like. They don't have a lot of big flashy names, but they have a lot of like good role players like Marvin Mims. Like you said, Savion Jones, K. Robinson, and then they also drafted a punter even. I think they were one of the only teams, if not the only team, to take a punter this year. And their last pick was a tight end. But yes, Broncos were one of my teams. Another one is going to be the Colts, who got Tyler Warren at 14. I don't think the Colts had as good of a draft as the Broncos or my next team that I'm going to say, but I think they got pretty much every position that they would need, and they added another quarterback into that quarterback battle between Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and now they also have Riley Leonard to throw in there, which I think Riley Leonard sucks personally. But they also got DJ
I
Giddens at
saw
running
just three
back.
quarterbacks that are basically the same.
Yeah, literally. So they got uh DJ Giddens at running back. That's a good pick as well. And then they got that edge rusher from Ohio State, that JT Tuiamalo or whatever the hell is however you say his name. Also got Hunter Wohler in the seventh round, Cason. I know you like that pick. Um, but other than that, the other team I would say would be the Falcons, and I know a lot of people are hating on that James Pierce Jr. pick, but I don't care. I think it's a good pick because yes, he has off the field issues and everything, but at the same time, they got Jalen Walker as well at 15, which is crazy to me. I know that's crazy to Chris too.
Indeed.
So those are my three teams that I think dominated the draft this year. Chris, you can go next then.
Well, I also picked the Ravens alongside Case, and I just did one team. Um, Malachi Starks following them was a crazy thing to happen. Like Cason said, it's just the rich getting richer with him. Um, on Georgia's defense last year, which was fairly lackluster compared to previous seasons, the best two position groups were the defensive ends and the safeties. And I'll get in more on that in a little bit with the other safety. But Malachi Starks is crazy athletic. Oh man, I can't remember the team, but there's like this leaping backwards pick he had just for him to follow the Ravens and to go there is definitely a big pickup for them. And then also Mike Green, who is I'm pretty sure projected top 15 in most mocks. I forgot where he started off his college career at, and I know there's a lot of off the field stuff surrounding him and questions, but for him to go pick 59 is actually insane. But yeah, that's those are my I think the Ravens really made out like bandits with their first two picks. So
And then Mekel, who are you going to say for your team for the best draft?
Yeah, I went with the Giants just because they got freaking what is it, Dart Vader that they call him now, and they got Scatabo and Abdul Carter. Like those are three, as long as Dart isn't complete shit, three big time impact players and like instant starters. And if you can get that like from rounds 1 through 4, I think that's a huge draft. And like the other guys are good too as well that they could be impact players that they drafted as well. But just those three I think are huge.
I know a lot of people were kind of shitting on the Giants for going back and trading up into what was it, pick 25 that they got Jackson Dart, I think
Mhm.
from Houston. But I don't know. What are we thinking about the quarterbacks from this year's draft? Because I think there's two of them that are like halfway decent. I think Cam Ward's going to be really good. Um, I think Jackson Dart could be pretty good, and then other than that, I don't know. There's not much to it for me. Will
I think it's like
Howard,
one of the worst quarterback draft classes since like 2013.
I know there's plenty of
Not as
quarterbacks
bad, but
who is the thing. Like there's a plethora of quarterbacks this year to get taken, but
I'm not a Jackson Dart fan. Um, Good in college. He just kind of seems like a dumbass. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really get the pick for the Giants there. I mean, truthfully, I don't see why you wouldn't just roll with. I mean, they probably are gonna roll with Russell this year, and we'll see how they do. But honestly, I'd be all in on the Arch Manning tank bus if I were them. So I don't really get the pick.
they got
I think the only problem with
they got Russell Wilson and they got Jameis Winston, who's definitely going to start by like week 10. But anyway,
forgot they had Jameis. Holy shit.
yeah, so that
Okay.
quarterback
yeah,
room is pretty interesting right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
then what were you?
I was gonna say the only problem I have with them in tanking in the Arch train, which still is a little sketchy for me, just because he's only played in like what 4 games, more than a couple minutes of
No.
his career. So it's kind of just a lot of hype at this point, and could be not. I know he starts off his career at Ohio State for his first game, if I'm not mistaken, this year. So that'll be either basically after that game's over, either everyone's going to think Arch is literally the greatest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, or everyone's going to be like, wow, he's overrated because we like to overreact to everything. Other thing I was gonna say on that though is there are two teams by the name of the Cleveland Browns and of the New Orleans Saints who look like they are just in straight tank mode at this point.
The
I
thing
don't
with
think either
this,
team is gonna be very good.
the thing with the Saints, okay, one, the hard knocks of the Cleveland Browns, they need to put hard knocks on them this year with that like five quarterback battle going on with their team. But I'm thinking the Saints are just not caring at all about this year, and they're going to be the ones that tank for Arch Manning. I don't think it's going to be the Giants. I think it's going to be the Saints instead. Because how do you draft Tyler Shuck as the second quarterback taken in the draft? Or sorry, third, because Jackson Dart was taken. But I mean, come on, that was possibly well. I guess I'll skip ahead and we'll just go with our worst, biggest reach pick. Mine was going to be Tyler Shuck because that man, if you saw, all you need to see is this one clip from the combine throwing to his receiver on slants and just not even hitting him in stride at all, throwing it straight at the ground. That's all you need to see on that. That was horrible. Um, which I also think Dylan Gabriel was a reach as well. Cleveland, what are you doing? Like, from the beginning of the draft, I told Cason, I said, the team that's going to pick Shador Sanders is going to be the Browns because they like those problematic prospects. You got Baker Mayfield, who's the least problematic out of the list that I'm going to name, Johnny Manziel, and then Deshaun Watson. Those are just a few of them. They like those project quarterbacks, which Baker, he turned out fine, but they disrespected him and traded him away. So, yeah, Shador was definitely going to Cleveland the whole time. I don't know why anyone thought he was going to Pittsburgh or anything like that. But my other one is Graham Mertz because why did Graham Mertz get drafted at all? Um, let's see, biggest reach. I guess Mekel, you also had Tyler Shuck as one of yours.
Yeah, I did. Kellen Moore, and we trust, Boise State legend. But I don't know what the hell that was. Like, did he see some of himself in that? Because he could have gone with. I don't think Shador's a great quarterback, but better than that motherfucker. Or I don't know. If you're gonna tank, just get just a different impact player elsewhere on the line. Like get the Saints. He suck. Just I don't know. He's obviously not the guy. Like you're not gonna build around him. So why draft him in second round? So
He's also what, 26 years old already or something? Like he's not your
is he? He's ancient too.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah,
yeah.
shit!
he's
He's
not
the
your
last
franchise
player.
quarterback.
My favorite stat is he's the last player most likely to be drafted in the 1900s, unless like some random punter or kicker's gonna get
It's
drafted in the
crazy.
night.
Oh my
Um,
God.
Why do that though? Why not just like sign Aaron Rodgers, get some jersey sales going, use that pick on somebody young that's like 21, not 26, from the 1900s. And yeah, but it's whatever. That's Saints for you.
um, yeah, I think the Saints just need to tear it down at this point, and they should have done that already. If they are in a full tank, I don't know why you just don't pick the best young players you could have picked at that pick. Just tear it down while you can, and just really set up well for Arch. And I think that's kind of what people thought they were going to do is just really tank this year. And it doesn't appear that they're going to do that as much as some may have thought. Um, but I think, Tim, this is now time to address a conspiracy theory of yours. Is Mekel a closet Packers slash Aaron Rodgers fan?
Oh, I'm not a closet Aaron Rodgers fan at all. I'm a 100% Aaron Rodgers fan. Not a
But are
Packers
you a
fan though.
closet Packers fan?
No, see, I was telling one of you guys this. I just don't get to go home very often. Don't get to have like the banter between Packer fans and Vikings fans. So like whenever I see videos about like that era between the two, I just like get nostalgia. It's just like makes me miss home and everything. So
Stockholm syndrome.
I miss that era. Yeah. The Aaron Rodgers era, the Brian Urlacher, the Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, like all of that. I just miss all of that.
I will
So
say I do miss playing the Bears back in like the 2010s. One, because I love playing Jay Cutler. One, because I love Jay Cutler. Two, because he was really bad against the Packers historically. So, like, that was the only team that he was actually really bad against, too, if you look at his stats. But just the Bears wearing those throwback uniforms with no logos on the helmet, the orange lettering on their numbers, and then the
yes.
dark blue uniforms as well. We had that with, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, and now we have Caleb Williams out there. Like, come on. What has the NFL turned into? But even the Packers, it's like you used to have Aaron Rodgers, now you have Jordan Love. But anyway, um, Chris, who was your biggest reach?
That would be another Georgia prospect of Mekel Williams. I didn't really get it. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, he's a freak athlete and definitely has the capability of becoming a good edge rusher, but his whole time at Georgia was kind of the what if he breaks out kind of deal. I mean, he did go off against Texas both times. But I mean, his most sacks he got in a season was five. Never really turned into the, game-changing edge rusher you'd really want to see. So this pick was solely based off of his potential rather than his production. Um, I don't see him becoming anything special. So I wasn't really sure what the 49ers were thinking here, especially with Jalen Walker still on the board, which Jalen's not necessarily he's kind of an everything guy. He can move around, but taking um, Michael over Jalen kind of was a head scratcher for me. I honestly thought Michael should probably drop late into the first round. So that was my reach.
Let's see. Cason, what was your biggest reach?
Well, now that we're a man down, RIP to Mekel in the pod. Honestly, I thought Michael Williams too. He reminds me a lot of the pass rushers the Packers have taken in recent years, like the last by recent years, I'm saying the last 7 years now, I guess, of like Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, these super athletic pass rushers that were more hype than actually production, and then they just haven't amounted to as much as we kind of hoped. I mean, Rashawn Gary's had times here and there, but he just can't put it all together for a full season. And if he does, he blows out his ACL apparently. So I have three reaches here. One is Kelvin Banks. I thought he was a good prospect, but I thought he was kind of mid, early 20s, not going like what eighth overall to you guessed it, the Saints. Another interesting pick out of them. I almost feel like they were forced by the Ramsiak retirement to kind of rush getting a tackle, but I don't know. One of mine, Ted McMillan. Sorry, Chris. I
No,
think
I mean,
he's a good receiver, but I don't get why they didn't trade back and pick a receiver and get a. It seemed like trades too this year have were going for like a king's ransom compared to the last couple years. I mean, we saw it with like the Falcons, the Giants trading back up. They traded quite a bit away to trade back up. Versus, in the past couple years, it's been like, oh, I'm moving up 10 picks. I'll give you a third round pick and a seventh round pick.
yeah.
Uh, so I didn't really get that. I think that was probably when we were at the draft. That was our first big surprise. And the other one for me is Arian Smith. I know you'll back me up on this, Chris. Seems
Yes.
pretty athletic, pretty fast. Honestly, seems to run really good routes when I've watched him. Dude might have some of the worst hands I've seen this side of one of my high school teammates. Like, I swear this dude just drops like half the balls thrown his way.
Yep, it gets pretty bad because I mean this dude's clutch. He's came up in big moments for Georgia and definitely won them a few ball games, but when it comes to just being consistent, it it's just not there. Like I said earlier, before the pod started, he is just the family dollar Ted Ginn, and didn't really get why he was drafted before round seven. Honestly, just it's not. There's not even potential for those hands to get better. They just seem to get progressively worse. So
I'll have to agree with the Ted McMillan one too. Or sorry, what am I supposed to call him? Anyone remember what his mom
Ted
said?
offensive. Oh, I'm just calling him the Ted offensive because we got the Chuba missile crisis. So
True. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I was wanting the Packers to get him, but the Packers were at 23. But it's like if I'm the Panthers at 8, why? And even like the Buccaneers getting Emeka Egbuka at
yeah,
19, that was
I'd,
super random too. But yeah, I don't
I'd
know.
rather have Ibuka,
Oh, I
honestly.
would too, but it's just like I wouldn't want any of those receivers at 8 to begin with.
Yeah, it
But
was definitely disappointing as a Panthers fan to sit there and watch the draft and that be the first like other than the Browns trading, which I guess they got picks next year, but to be the first, like wow, we actually are incompetent.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the Browns trade, I've gone back and forth on it like about five times now. Because if Travis, okay, it's gonna depend if Travis Hunter, if he's playing both ways and he's just like average to good both ways, it's the best trade ever. If he's actually pretty cracked or plays one way and just plays the other way sometimes, I think what he could be a lot better. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't see it possible for him to realistically play both sides of the ball and be really good. Like, yes, Jacksonville would be a very good team to do that on because Jacksonville doesn't really have the players to, make him one side or the other. Like, he could play both sides, but I just don't think you're gonna be able to do that in the NFL compared to college. But I guess we will see. So we're gonna go on to the sneaky good drafts. Chris, we'll let you go first.
Um, so I think I went with Mikel's pick of the Lion or the Giants. Um, other than Jackson Dart, that was just kind of gross. But Scadaboo, man, round four, I think that dude's gonna be a beast. I I I don't want to jump ahead, but that was I didn't want to make him one of my steals of the draft since I think someone else here already had him. But I think that's definitely going to stand out for the Giants and then Abdul Carter. But I think Mekel kind of covered all the bases there, so I'll pass it on.
Mekel's sneaky pick also is the Raiders. I'm very upset that he wasn't able to talk about his precious Raiders on this, but you already knew it out of him. He is a very big Raiders fan for reasons. Um, I went with very biased pick here, but the Packers, which I've seen some of these draft grade articles. I've seen some of them get A's and then some of them be one of the worst drafts. But it's like, from my standpoint as a Packers fan, I thought it was a great draft for them. They basically everyone's just bitching about how they didn't get a corner in an early round, but it's like Jair looks like he's planning on staying, which I'm sure he'll play 3 games again this year or something like that before getting hurt again. But they also got Nate Hobbs, so it's like, and then they got a late rounder and Micah Robinson from Tulane. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think the draft was that bad just because they stayed around late for a corner. Also the Colin Oliver pick, I love that one. I like both the receivers that they picked too. Um, and then Chris Warren Brinson, let's hear your take on him.
Oh yeah, I don't really like that pick. Um, I mean, like I said to you guys earlier, at best rotational guy. Which I mean, late round pick, so what really are you gonna expect? But eh, I guess he's pretty decent at stopping the run. I mean, like I said, he's good in like a 3-4. Definitely is gonna let the linebackers make some plays, but just overall, I don't know that entire defensive line. When you're following Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, it's gonna be pretty hard to make your impact, but just wasn't where you'd expect, and definitely George was getting gashed in the inside a lot, and he would be there sometimes. But I'm just not a fan of the pick, honestly.
I know Chris is a mega Georgia fan, but every other Georgia fan I've seen in the comments says that it's a steal. So I don't know. I also hate how the
Um,
Packers like being the NFL version of Georgia, just like without winning anything. But they just draft their players every single year, and they usually suck ass. So
you guys get the shitty Georgia players, while the Eagles get the good Georgia players.
Eric Stokes sucks. Devontae Wyatt, he's shown flashes, but he also sucks.
Way
Quay
Walker.
Walker kind of sucks. He's also
I,
shown a little bit of flash.
I like Quay Walker for the simple fact when he committed, he went to pick up a Tennessee hat and then he just threw it. He
Yeah,
didn't pick.
he's a meathead. It sounds like something he would do.
Sounds like the greatest Packer of all time to me.
I think he's probably been the Packer that's got ejected the most out of the last 10 years out of games, probably 20 years, 30 years. Anyway, oh wait, no. Titans are another one of my teams that I thought had a really good draft. Obviously Cam Ward, day one starter, he's gonna make that team 1,000 times better. Chimere Dike, they got him. They got Alec Aomanor from Stanford, who absolutely cooked Travis Hunter. And then they also got Xavier Restrepo in as an undrafted free agent. So like that team, they might actually, I'm not going to say that they're going to compete this year, but they'll be better than the Colts will, and I'd say they'd be better in Jacksonville too, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Let's say it's
Um, huh?
the AFC South.
Yeah, it's AFC South. I mean, basically got the Texans and I don't know. Like I said last year, CJ Stroud with his sophomore slump. So I don't know. Maybe the Titans will win that division after all. Then my last team that had a pretty good draft that not a lot of people are talking about is the Dallas Cowboys, which I feel like the Cowboys usually have good drafts. But Tyler Booker and then Ezeraku in the second round. Oh, here we go. Mekel's back. So he can talk about his precious Raiders. Ezeraku in the second round. Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina in the third round. And then you got Jadon Blue. I haven't watched much tape on Jadon Blue, but they needed a running back too, so why not get one? And they also got Phil Maffa in the seventh round from Clemson. So Honestly, Cowboys did pretty good in my mind, but Cason, who was your
Um, I was gonna address on your whole AFC South thing too. Obviously it's gonna be a lot later in the year when we get into our previews. That I don't actually know who I'm gonna pick in that division. Um, I'm pretty low on the Texans, I think, because of the fact their offensive line is probably going to be far and away the worst in the NFL. And we've seen it's very hard to win in the NFL with a very bad offensive line, and their offensive line is atrocious. So my sneaky good drafts, I went with the Falcons. Like, you went with the best draft overall. I went with them a sneaky good draft just because they're kind of a little under hurdle, I think, this year in the draft. They addressed some of the big needs. They had Xavier Watts fall to them, which they should have three starters out of this draft class and two edges and a safety. I've watched way too many Falcons games over the last few years, and I know that the weaknesses on that team have been kind of corner, other safety outside of Jesse Bates, and their pass rush is abysmal. So this hopefully one of the pass rushers pans out, Xavier Watts pans out, get a little help on defense. My other one, a little surprised, maybe the Panthers, I thought had a sneaky good draft. I didn't like the Ted McMillan pick. I thought they should have traded back, got some picks, got something, got him a little later. I don't hate him on the offense. I just don't like where they got him, I guess is my thing. I like the edges they got of Scroton and Princely. And then I also really like the Mitchell Evans pick in the fifth round, the tight end, and I'm a big Jimmy Horn Jr. fan. So honestly, a lot of times I'd watch Colorado, and when Travis Hunter wasn't out there, I'm like, why aren't they throwing to Jimmy Horn Jr. more? He's always wide open. And so I think that's a solid pick. Um, I saw that they also got in for agency a receiver who only has like 5 career catches in undrafted free agency of Musain Muhammad Jr.
Yes.
So they're kind of getting the band back together of him and Jimmy Horn Jr. So
They also another person that they got was Nick Nash, I saw. Nick Nash was a
ah,
stud at San Jose State. So, um, Mekel, we are on the sneaky good draft. If you're still here, where'd you go? There you are. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, who did I have for that sneaky good draft? I think it was the Raiders. Is that right? Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, you draft Ashton Jeanty, so like the future Hall of Famer right there. Next Adrian Peterson plus Barry Sanders combined, however you want to frame that. And then we drafted a few receivers, I'm forgetting their names, but some good speedsters. And overall, I just think they got a lot of young dudes. I think they like what 10 picks, and that team is pretty shit. So they're gonna need it, and I think it'll help in the long run here.
Yeah, it's a fair point. They love their Midwest kids in this year's draft as well. They drafted several people from Minnesota, somebody from North Dakota State, someone from Montana State. I mean, geez.
we're
Uh,
actually starting quarterbacks against each other.
yeah, literally. So then we'll go biggest steal now. So, whoever wants to start this one, I guess.
Okay.
Chris, you
Okay,
want to go?
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say my biggest steals, Kobe King for the Vikings, linebacker out of Penn State. Kind of surprised he went as late as he did. Think he's honestly somebody they can rotate in right away, if not possibly even start somewhere in that linebacking core. He's pretty good. Um, my definitely overall biggest steal, if his knee isn't cooked, which it sounds like it is, Will Johnson. Um, if that knee actually lasts even 8 years in his career, that is going to be an absolute steal. He is one of the best corners in college football and has been for a few years. The problem is that he might have chronic knee problems, so he just might be kind of cooked. And there's I think like a fourth to half the NFL teams literally didn't even have him on their board because they thought that little of his knee, which considering if his knee was fine, probably going top 10 to 15. Other one, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, running back. I liked him a lot when I've watched him. He's not maybe as flashy as GNT, but I thought he was a really good running back, a really solid running back. And honestly, I think the Steelers running back core is going to be better this year of Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren than Najee and Jalen Warren because I am not a big Najee fan.
I would have to agree with that. I think it was a good move for them to get rid of Najee for sure. And
Now
now
Najee's the backup.
Najee's a backup to freaking Hampton now.
Hmm.
Let's see. Chris, who was your biggest steal?
I went with Malachi Starks for one of them. I've already talked about him, so I'm not really going to touch on that. Um, and then Jihad Campbell from Alabama going to the Eagles. I think he's going to miss the early part of the season, or he's just going to be kind of recovering. Um, really like that pick. He was really good at Alabama, and I think this is another case. It's kind of like the Ravens thing I said earlier. It's just the rich getting richer. If he turns out to be healthy and everything's fine with him, this is a massive steal for the Eagles, and it's just going to beef up an already beefy defense. Um, so unfortunately, we'll have to see more Nick Sirianni and playoff runs, but that's what can you do? Good Hawks.
Until the Panthers knocked them out in the wild card round this year.
Yeah, that's me when I smoke crack.
Let's see. For my biggest steal, I had Cam Scatterboo basically just because he's automatically the day one starter in my mind over Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary because I think both of those guys suck. Tyrone Tracy, if he didn't fumble as much as he does, he's actually a halfway decent running back, but he has a very bad fumbling issue. So I think Scatterboo was a pretty good pick by the Giants. Other than that, I'm actually going to go with two undrafted free agents here. Xavier Restrepo going back and reuniting from Miami to Tennessee with Cam Ward. I think he's easily going to make their roster. Their receivers are terrible to begin with. Like I said, Stanford's receiver, they got him too. He's pretty good. But, and then my other one, this is just a shout out. Okay. I told Cason forever ago about Sean Taylor's brother, Gabe Taylor. This man played at Rice for 5 years. I don't know if he's any good at all, but the Commanders did give him a contract. So, if that man actually does turn into something, that'd be pretty cool. But
Yeah.
Taylor, undrafted free agent out of Rice to the Commanders. But I don't think he'll live up to Sean Taylor, obviously. But Mekel, who are your steals of the draft?
Yeah, so I have Caleb Johnson as well, is because he ran for 20 tuds, I think, and he did that at Iowa. So to do that in the Big Ten is pretty impressive. And to get him in the third round, so that's pretty solid. And then Scatabo, of course, at ASU, he's a dog, and they got him in the fourth round. So the Giants are going to need him so bad because they can't do anything on offense. And then my last one, you guys are gonna hate it, but Shador Sanders, like he was supposed to be a top 10 pick, and to get him in the fourth or fifth round, like I don't think he's uh franchise saver, but to get him in the fourth or fifth, I think is solid.
That's a fair point. I hope he sucks personally, but and he very might well suck. But let's see.
When the draft was happening, and I saw the Eagles like creeping like next in the draft order. I was like,
Mm.
Shador Sanders sounds like somebody the Eagles would draft just to fucking stash behind Jalen Hurts. And then the Browns, I guess the Halston called down from the box because I don't know if you saw Stefanski and the GM for the Browns their reaction to the Sanders pick, but they looked fucking pissed. But
What
that
was
that was
funny was that at the draft, you could tell that the pick was coming because they just had the Browns up on the screen. Their like front office or whatever was up on the screen for like literally 10 minutes straight. And I looked at Case and I was like, Browns are gonna pick Sanders right here. And of course they did. It's like, why else would they be showing them for so long? But yep, lo and behold, they did pick him. Um, like I said, if there's a hard knocks, it needs to be on the Browns this year. Favorite pick in the draft, Chris. I'm shocked you haven't mentioned his name yet, but let's hear it.
This is Dan the Man Jackson, safety from the University of Georgia. Fucking love this guy. This is a perfect Lions pick too. Tim, stop rolling your eyes. This is a perfect Lions pick. I think if he goes anywhere else, I'm not as hyped about it, but this guy was a walk-on and played all of his years at Georgia without a scholarship and started his last year and actually last year and a half. The stats aren't really eye-popping, but just very solid player. Very solid player. And man, he was the on the Keely Ringo pick six on Tua, not Tua, Bryce for the national championship. He was the guy who gave that massive block right at the end for Keely to get to the end zone. Dude's just a lunch pail, hard hat kind of guy. Hard worker. He's a grinder. I don't know. One of my favorite players from the Georgia defense over the last several years. So I love the pick. Love that he's going to the Lions. I think he's going to fit in perfectly there. Definitely going to be an impact player on special teams this year, and I hope we'll see the field at some point in his career.
Chris is definitely a closet Lions fan, just like Mekel is a closet. Well, actually, he's not even a closet Raiders fan. He's just a full-on Raiders fan. Um,
Yes, sir.
what?
I said yes, sir.
Oh, then I'm low-key a closet Bills fan just because of Josh Allen. Love Josh Allen. Jason, who's your closet team?
Oh, I don't know. I've always liked the Ravens a lot, probably. So
Ah,
maybe them.
look at this
I liked
guy.
them back a lot back in the day with the Ray Lewis, the Ed Reeds, the Joe Flacco's of the world were on them. I don't know. I've watched enough Falcons games to be a closet Falcons fan, but I think that makes me a closet Falcons hater, honestly.
I will say if I did like another NFC team, if I wasn't a Packers fan, I'd probably either be a Bucks or Falcons fan. Bucks
Disappointing.
because of Baker, obviously. Falcons, I don't know, their logo's nice.
Their old one's better.
I do like their
True.
throwbacks way better. Um, Favorite pick in the draft. We'll go Mekel on this one. I feel like it's obvious.
Yeah, real quick though, Chris was describing the Jan Jackson guy as a, uh, what was it again? Lunch pail and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And you painted an image in my head, and I searched him up, and the image was correct from what I expected.
yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Yeah, Ashton Jeanty, 100%. Like, got the should have been Heisman winner going to the Raiders. Like, it's literally the stars aligned, and oh, what a day that was! What a day.
Mikhail, was that the best day of your life?
Well, no, it's actually one of the worst. I was out in the field, but I just knew it was gonna happen, and when I came, when I came back, I found out, and I was like, that's amazing. Yeah,
Let's see, Cason. Cason, I know you have one of the same ones that I do, but let's hear yours.
Yeah. I'll start off with Quinn Ewers. I'm not extremely high on Quinn Ewers, honestly, but I think the fit for him might be the best possible fit because he's basically just kind of a great value version of Tua without the concussion problems. He just has other problems. Um, and I think that considering the fact that Tua's bound to get hurt and be done for the year, we can see the Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson train rolling down in Miami, which
Rather see
again
that.
will probably happen at some point.
there's no pressure
Uh,
on him too, and when that happens.
yeah, I mean, look at the other quarterbacks they've replaced too when they've come in. They've all been just straight ass.
Mhm.
But I think that's a really good pick. I think for the fact that he fits well there and he probably could step in and be okay at worst. And, he's got a lot to prove right now. He's got to try to make him some of that money he lost in that NIL transfer money that he lost out on.
Yeah,
Um, Other picks, I loved Landon Jackson in the third round of the Bills. Big Landon Jackson fan at Arkansas, obviously. So, he was pretty elite there for a couple of years. Probably about their only defensive player that was kind of worth anything. And, him going to the Bills, he's kind of a bigger D end in a way. He's not quite 3-4 D end, but he's a what is he like 6'5", 6'6", 270-ish D end. Hopefully we can see him sacking Patrick Mahomes this year. And then Packers just getting wide receivers in general and getting more than one, I was a big fan of. Packers receivers all like to either A, get hurt, B, drop the ball, or C, just decide they're only going to show up once every like 3 or 4 weeks. So them getting a couple of receivers hopefully lights a fire in that receiver room, and hopefully someone outside of kind of Jaden Reed decides to actually show up for more than like 1 to 2 weeks at a time.
They happen, they got to give Jaden Reed the ball once he's hot, which they, for whatever reason, don't do. Mine is going to be basically just the running backs. Some of these running backs that weren't like the higher prolific running backs. RJ Harvey, that was my most underrated running back coming into the draft. And running back out of UCF, he was a complete baller. Goes into that Broncos system. I would hope to God he gets that starting job because wow, those Broncos running backs are ass. Um, and then Ollie Gordon, of course, I had to do Ollie Gordon, which I'm going to draft him in about every single one of my uh, keeper leagues or dynasty leagues because he'd be a really good handcuff for Devon Achane, and I think he'll be able to win a job, the backup role over Jalen Wright as well. Another one I thought was pretty good was Taj Brooks, running back out of Texas Tech. Uh, Chase Brown's job is pretty much secure still because they didn't pick a running back super early, but Taj Brooks is a pretty good running back, or he was at Texas Tech anyway. And they got him in like the sixth or seventh round. Then, of course, my last one is going to be Quinn Ewers. I love Quinn Ewers. For him to go to Miami, I actually love that because, like Cason said, Tua, mush brain over there. He's going to be out of a career by the end of this year, probably. They're paying him all that money just for him to get hurt and do stupid shit on the field. Um, Also, yeah, MILF Hunter, Zach Wilson, he's definitely going to get a few snaps this year, which he deserves because I feel like he's honestly not that bad of a quarterback either, but it's a very interesting quarterback room to see it there. Yes, Chris, I don't think Zach Wilson's a bad quarterback. Um,
Who invited Giles to this podcast?
I haven't said anything about Gino yet. But yeah, Quinn Ewers, I think the fact that he went seventh round, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. Um, don't know how that happens. Don't know how Graham Mertz gets drafted over him. Dylan Gabriel, um, North Dakota State's quarterback Cam Miller. Don't know that. Like, literally why? But anyway, so that's all of our draft talk, except for what Kaysen has to say about his opinion on what on earth we witnessed with that cover band that came in for the draft, and also a piece of apparel as well.
Well, first off, I'd like to talk about how much I hate the Cincinnati Bengals now. Um, we're going to start first on my discussion on big hats. We've all seen them. They look ridiculous. I don't want to see a grown man walking around with a big hat on. Nobody does. The
I bet
Cincinnati Bengals decide to have 3 tables in their room.
I'm big hats are talking about here.
Whoa, Kaysen, where's that picture from?
The Cincinnati Bengals decide to have a helmet on each side of the tables, and in the middle they have a big hat just sitting there.
Why?
Um,
Literally, why?
William Byron
Tim
fan.
lo Tim loved pointing out all the big hats we saw around this weekend, and oh, another team I'm a hater of now, the Arizona Cardinals, because
Oh,
their entire
Really?
dedicated fan base in there. Honestly, I have nothing against the Cardinals, but their dedicated fan base at the draft all had big hats on.
I'm not kidding you. They're super fans or whatever for their section at the draft. Every single one of them had a big hat on, and none of them were dressed as a Cardinal or anything. Literally, just all of them had big hats.
Next up on my list of things I hated at the draft, Generation Z the band. When they're like, "Oh, we have a house band," I'm like, "Oh, you've heard these on the draft before. They're not great, but not bad usually. They're just kind of fine."
What do you think of these
Um,
big hats, Cason?
those big hats are much better. They're
I
they're a
fucking hate
full
them
hat.
too. No, I fucking hate them too.
Hmm.
All right, sorry. Go on, go on.
I have nothing against the people talking to the private piles, but yeah. So I thought this band would be, okay. And then they open their mouths and start singing. First song wasn't too good. I'm like, oh, oh, not good. Maybe it'll be better if someone else sings. It was slightly, but not by much. And then after about three songs, people just started groaning when they're like, Generation Z, take it away. My favorite is when they started playing the song Don't Stop Believing. And we get a text from Chris Torrance.
It was so bad. I could like I could hear about every song they were playing watching the ESPN coverage, and like it seemed like the crowd noise was like pumped to 100. And so I could hear the band playing in the background, and there were like two songs in particular. I can't remember the other one, and Don't Stop Believing was one of them. It was probably the worst. Like I think all four of us could probably went up on that stage and done a better rendition by just like anything but that. That was awful.
Um, it got worse though, honestly, over the weekend because A, they started to feel themselves. B, towards the end of day one, they started getting kind of uh, booed and groaned every time that they come on the stage a little. But what would you say, Tim? By like round two, pick like, I don't know, 50, they've started doing the same song. They like went back to songs they already played
Oh yeah.
on day one. Um, so yeah, not a big fan. And we have him in the background here, the singer. He's
Oh, that
right
guy,
there.
that guy is quite literally the most obnoxious guy that could ever open his mouth on the
I
planet.
love them.
He was moonwalking up on stage while he was singing Billie Jean.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay, the funniest thing too, Chris, is when you texted us, I was like, "Oh my God, he can hear that on the broadcast." And then I like went on Twitter that night and I saw like a little clip of whatever on the ESPN broadcast, and you could hear them in the background. It was when they were doing "Don't Stop Believing," and it was the worst sounding thing. It literally sounded like a dying cat. Like it
I
was so
did.
bad.
It was so fucking bad, dude. Like I don't have the words. I really don't. They should have got Smash Mouth.
I agree. I told Cason I would have rather listened to All Star by Smash Mouth on repeat the entire weekend, like nonstop, just nothing but that song played by them, than listening to some Journey, Dua Lipa, what else?
A
What else
lot of
is there?
Bruno Mars. They
A lot of
love
Bruno
Bruno
Mars, Katy
Mars.
Perry. Yeah, lots of that. Oh, it was
Um,
terrible.
I was just waiting for Africa by Toto to come on,
Oh, yeah.
honestly.
I told Case, and I was like, you better hope that that song doesn't come on, otherwise crimes will be committed.
So, would you rather have Generation Z or Billy Joel just performing Piano Man?
The funny thing is, I told Tim if Piano Man got played, I probably would just drive back. I would have just left the draft.
Ugh.
This is a tough one for me. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I want to listen to fucking Mr. Piano when it's really Mr. Harmonica Man just up there.
The best part about it too was the fact that Roger Goodell was getting booed so much on the first day, but even by the end of the first day, he was getting cheers by the crowd because like he was coming back on the stage, and that's the only thing that would stop Generation Z
Yeah,
from.
but it was only when if they were just playing like regular, just like background music or the whatever, like the commentator people were on stage, fucking Rondé Barber and I can't remember who else was up there with him. Um, People would boo him. But if he was coming on stage after Generation Z, there was a couple cheers, including by myself.
Yeah. It was definitely an experience. We'll all have to go to Pittsburgh next year.
Hell yeah.
Hey, it's coming to Minneapolis, Tim, in a couple years, is the rumor.
Oh God, yeah, I'm sure everyone's gonna want to go to that one.
I'm sure all the Viking fans will be crawling out of their closets.
All right, anyone else got anything to add?
I hate my life.
Cason looks like he's
Yeah.
living his life in that big
I
hat
also
there.
hate Chris's life. I hate my life as well too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Could have went to Bragg, but no. We could have hated our lives together.
Wish we could have.
Well, appreciate everybody being on, and we will be on who knows when next, but we'll figure it out.